Hey, there you is. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland Sensei Alba. I've been thinking about things today, and today started out as a very sunny day and then became a cloudy day. Still pretty cold in the 20s. So, yesterday, things were sunny. When the sun hit, it got rid of the ice. So it didn't get rid of the ice. And what is ice? And what is light? And what is dark? That's the real question that we're thinking about tonight. And so many folks are looking at the world as what's going on now, and they're saying, "What is going on?" So reach into your consciousness.
Your subconscious mind is a powerhouse working behind the scenes, managing 95% of your thoughts, decisions, and actions. Think about that for a moment, 95%. This means
only in your subconscious mind of the reality that isn't really here. It's what is light and what is dark. You tell me. So we got the live chat going, and we're looking for another nice conversation. And one of these days, I'll figure out how to put the live chat not just up for us while we're doing the show, but so people can see it, because that is kind of the more interesting thing.
Displaced, and more than 1,100 homes and buildings have been destroyed. Firefighters have been completely overwhelmed with flames laying waste to entire neighbourhoods. Isabel Mullen begins our coverage.
A summer catastrophe in the dead of winter. Flames.
Yep. What does that mean? Right?
In the dead of winter. Flames bearing down on the Hollywood Strip, the most picturesque, sought-after real estate in America, burning to a cinder.
The whole entire hills are on fire.
In eerily quiet streets, homes are keeled over with no one to defend them.
We lost everything we owned, but it doesn't even look like a house anymore. It just looks like a... This is the second property I lost. I lost the house up there too. This is so unreal. That's my fiance's car.
Driving through Pacific Palisades is like driving into the mouth of hell.
Oh my God.
There are no sirens ringing out, not a yellow jacket in sight. Anyone choosing to stay is on their own. Properties across Los Angeles are no match for these unrelenting winds. Home after home bursting into flames. Firefighters fanning out, working around the clock. But the fact is, it's impossible for them to reach every pocket.
If you guys need to move, Izzy, you just do what you need to do.
Yeah, there's a shop front that Pam was standing in front of. Has just erupted in flames. There seems to be some gas bottles or something inside.
Crews are outmanned, outgunned.
They don't have enough trucks. They don't have enough. There's no water left in any of the fire hydrants.
If you had a hydrant for this building, we had a hydrant for this building, you might have been able to save the back out.
The Los Angeles mayor at a loss for words.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning?
As fires converge, tearing, not just through steep canyons, but flat suburbia, areas never before under threat. More than 1,100 buildings have been razed.
Here on Altadena's main street, the shops have been decimated. There is so much damage that it's hard to tell what they once were.
Evacuation centres filling up with more than 150,000 people ordered to leave. The scale of the disaster hard to overstate.
Last night was one of the most devastating and terrifying nights that we've seen in any part of our city at any part of our history.
And the threat of further loss of life present. and very real.
I will move away.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We're just talking to the local sheriff. He's recommended a half-mile radius because this site is full of gas. I think they're concerned that that service station might go up.
Hollywood stars among those losing their homes. Actor James Woods.
I'm sorry. Just, one day you're swimming in the pool and the next day it's all gone.
Leighton Meester and husband Adam Brody, who just this week won a Golden Globe. Legendary actors Anthony Hopkins and John Goodman, comedic actress Anna Faris, as well as Paris Hilton, Jennifer Love Hewitt, reality TV stars Heidi and Spencer Pratt.
I'm watching our house burn down on the security cameras.
Homes in the path of the fire, that of outgoing Vice President Kamala Harris, even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. On edge, waiting to hear if he'll need to evacuate his home, Australian Jax McLennan.
It's really scary. We stayed up all night, but you basically got no sleep trying to keep up to date with all the everything that was happening.
Entire communities levelled, Tinseltown in ashes.
The scenes here are apocalyptic. The loss incomprehensible. Authorities say it will take weeks to tally the damage.
And the death toll is expected to climb.
Isabel Mullen joins us live from Altadena now. Is the unprecedented devastation, and officials have been forced to admit there just aren't enough firefighters to tackle this emergency.
That's right, Ange. Good evening. Just tonight, the LA Fire Chief has told us that they don't have the crews to deal with this. They are not built for this scale of disaster. You can see behind me the fires are still very much burning tonight. The crews have been dealing with wind gusts of up to 160 kilometres an hour. That is approaching tornado speed. They've also been running out of water. The demand on supply there 4 times what it would regularly be. But after US President Joe Biden declared this a state of emergency, help is on the way. We've been told that Navy helicopters from all over the United States will fly here to Los Angeles to try and get a handle on this evolving emergency. Mark and Ange.
Isabel Mullen with the very latest from LA. Wildfires are not unusual in Southern California, but the damage caused this time is unlike anything most locals have ever seen. This is infrared satellite imagery over Altadena, one of the areas hardest hit. As you can see, almost the entire region is burning red hot. With more, here's foreign editor Hugh Whitfield.
Los Angeles residents will tell you they live in almost permanent drought most of the year. Those dry conditions, coupled with what are commonly Santa Ana winds blowing in from the mountains, have pushed these blazes down the hills towards homes with unprecedented speed and ferocity. Right now, 6 blazes are burning across America's second largest city. The well-heeled parts of Pacific Palisades and Malibu on Highway 1 have been evacuated. Many homes there already burned. Suburbs in the San Fernando Valley and to the north of Pasadena are ablaze. Even the area around Hollywood in the popular run.
And this was 5 days ago. That was on the internet. Got it. 5 days ago. And you hear politicians blaming other politicians. Not really. There's no way that anyone could have dealt with this. The Santa Ana fires are a yearly thing. So the LA Fire Department knew what they were up against, but this is something that they weren't ever up against. So they're doing their best, and to have the politicians use this as a thing that they can go after each other about. It's your fault. You did this. You didn't do that. Basically, if you don't understand that there is no difference between one party or the other, they all belong to the same ruling party. The only way that they can rule, because they're such a small minority, is divide and conquer. And what better thing can divide you but a catastrophe? Whereas a catastrophe is also a great thing that could bring people together. Do you see it happening? No. And that's because the media is controlled. Right? Let's see what else is on the old internet here.
Hey, this is your kazoo. I'm talking to you, the all-seeing Oracle Eyeball. Kids, get ready for a scary ride. You thought your world was a scary ride so far. 16 billion years of a scary ride. Well, this is started with a bang. It's ending with a bang. Al Bob, your sensei Griot, will be telling you a story this afternoon, sometime between noon and 1, and then again sometime between 8 and 9. And he will tell you in the next 40 shows about the end of the scary ride. Hold on to your pubic hair. We're going to love watching you scream and suffer. All of you people who are ruled by fear. You thought you were terrified. Well, just wait and see. Everyone who wants to blame someone else, who you're going to see who's really to blame. You are. We just manipulate you. We control your bank, we control your food, we control your air and water. That drives you insane, but we just watch. We are the all-seeing eye. And now, there are a lot of people who are trying to say they know. But Sensei Al-Bob, what does he say? Don't believe a word I say. Right, but his stories unlock in your subconscious the truth.
So the subconscious is that place that
your lives, who you are, the dualities, the stupidities, the suffering that you
that's where your subconscious
inflict on others. Is the suffering you feel yourself. We love it. We love watching you suffer. That's what we are.
That's the hidden hand speaking. Folks who kind of run everything, but you don't really know that. Ooh. So some really cold weather is heading towards America. And Texas, they're so independent. They're so, hey there, Janie Poo. Excellent. That's a scared eyeball from space. Yeah, that's me. And that was me. And that was from my, 5 generations ago cell phone that had some kind of little special effects. And all I had to do, it had one of those things that doubled things. So if you closed in far enough, said the 2 eyes, that was just me. That was my subconscious. Dance, dance, you fools, dance. It's the end of time. Dance, dance. Do drugs, do drugs. Just say yes to fear. Just say yes to hate. Just say yes to anger. Instead of Carrot Head saying that these brave firefighters are incompetent, you should give them a, hey, you guys are right. Instead of cutting the budget, that little thing that Musk went on his X and told the Congress that, we had to kill that budget. Oh no. And, it was like a 1,500-page bill because everyone had something in it. And Musk says, if you don't stop this, I'm going to make sure you don't get reelected. So they stopped it. They tried to have a clean bill. That didn't work. So they had another bill. And the thing that they took out 80% of those 1,500 pages. Things like money for all the first responders who need medical care in the United States, especially those who are left who are dying from the asbestos poisoning they got at ground zero on 9/11, right? And so our Congress got rid of that money. So now those people, instead of having some medical aid that they might get over this, or they might maybe last a few more years instead of agonizing pain. No, there are only about 600 of them left. So who cares? They don't really mean anything. Let them die. So everyone in LA, you think that the toxicity of Lower Manhattan from the vaporization of the World Trade Centers, that they don't show that image anymore. Let's see. Let's see if they do. Go ask Google. YouTube image of 9/11 World Trade Centers collapse. Oh, here it is. We do have it.
Take two and two, one. This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the... Take two and two, one. This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
See, you can hear the audio, but they won't let you see the image. Isn't that interesting? There we go.
You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
So when I was an apprentice electrician in Local 3, I worked on the World Trade Center. And those buildings were designed, the structural load was carried on the outside of the building. It was called the bird cage. And there was no way that a 757 could pierce the exoskeleton of the building. And there's no way that that whole building would turn into a cloud of dust and fall faster than gravity. If you go watch or go on, let's see. See, there's the image. It's a cloud of everything, and most of that is asbestos, because asbestos is great to stop fires, as long as it's wrapped up. But when you turn it into dust with a space-based weapon, that's what you get. See, they don't show the building falling down.
Take off your pants, Quinn, unless you'd rather watch us with your girlfriend. I stood there naked, facing my worst bullies as they got ready to go rough on my girlfriend. I followed this ritual.
We think that we are getting better each day, and we have come from a more primitive society, but we are getting better every day and becoming more severe in knowledge and technology, when actually, in point of fact, we are digressing. We are moving away from what we were thousands and thousands of years ago. And I'm of the opinion that our history has been vastly changed.
This is Jordan Maxwell. Go look him up on YouTube.
Of mankind on this earth. We are finding that there are temples on the ocean floor, pyramids, Machu Picchu, Chichen Itza, incredible structures of temples and knowledge which is displayed about the universe, about astrology, the astronomical truths about the universe, the ancient, truly prehistoric and ancient people. They knew all about it. We are trying to catch up today to what they knew tens of thousands of years ago. We are finding everything.
That is what the old crone was teaching me. And that is what Archie, we went up and down the west coast of Ireland and we found pyramids. We found ancient artifacts. And he was well respected in the archaeology community, but and he was well to do, meaning he came from a English lord in Scotland. So he had money, had land in Ireland and Scotland and England, and he didn't have to worry about paying the bills. And he had a seat in Trinity College. This guy was, and he was a good friend of the old crone. And Archie, he was pretty amazing, meaning when I was 19 then, he was in his 70s and he was in a lot better shape than I am now. And the old crone, she had to be 1,000 years old, and she at certain times she was looking good, So anyway, don't believe a word I say, and don't believe a word anyone else says. The world that is all around us right now is like, holy moly, and we are being pressured because right now, and I've been talking about this now for the last few months, within the stars, it was pretty obvious that Earth and our solar system is lining up for a astronomical whee! And that's why we're having all of this craziness, wars in the Gaza, wars all throughout the Middle East, wars in Ukraine, wars in Africa, so today I'm here at the undisclosed location, and a lot of people came for help because it's really cold, and a lot of people, because of the event, lost their house, and a lot of the people that we tried to help set up, because of their own stupidity, about 30 families, the Army Corps of Engineers had these great tents. They were like hospital tents. They were like 20 by 20, and the ceiling with the high point of the ridge, and the ceiling was maybe 15 feet high, and it had a place where you could stick a wood stove and really get that place toasty. And we put it up so if there was another flooding event, that thing wouldn't get washed away. But those people couldn't drive their cars up there. They had to park their car below it and walk up like 50 yards, half a football field. And they didn't want to do that. So they dragged those things down to where they could put their cars. And then we had a big flood about 4 weeks ago, or maybe more, where we had about 20 inches of rain in about 8 hours. And all those people got washed out. And the last remnants of pokey folk and the folk that were, a troubling essence to the developing real estate folk who are going to turn this place into Lake Tahoe. And that's why our state roads are, just totally, you can't, they're totally washed out and they haven't fixed them yet, right? So it's one reason why I'm here, because I'm over in the deep green. Yeah, I can get around, but this cold, the roads that I have to go on, it's like up and down and up and down, and they're like against mountains. And some of those roads, they don't get any, definitely don't get salted. They don't get plowed. We had 8 inches of snow. We're probably going to get another 10 this weekend. And it's going to be 60 degrees minus, meaning Fahrenheit 32 degrees is where things freeze. And that's 32. And then it goes to 0. That means that 32 degrees below where water freezes, 0. Minus 60 is another, that's 90 degrees colder than where water freezes. That's pretty cold. There are a lot of people on that forest. So they've all come here and they've tried to stay here, but they're entitled. Even though they're poor white trash, I'm not going to stay here. You can't make. I said, fine, go. Here, take some socks. Here's a scarf. Here's a hat. Take some food. And but they weren't going to. I don't want to stay here. It's too. So that is what I am seeing of the community. And then the Hispanic folk who come, they've been coming now for the last 2 months once they found out. And once it started to get cold, and we've given them coats and clothes, and a lot of them have babies, so we've given them a lot of everything. And some of the old ladies with the clipboards, they're taking so much. Well, basically, it's not like 2 people come in to beat up car. They have one person, they have like 10 families in the car, and there are 8 babies. So I look at all the stuff they take, and they're not taking any more than what that many people need. And the number of these folks, so I talk to them, and everyone goes, no inglés, no inglés. And so I, habla español un poco. And so I kind of talk to them and then say things in Spanglish, and then they respond in Spanglish. And I said, so you do understand English. You may not speak it. You probably speak English better than I speak Spanish. And so they realize that I'm not trying, because I keep giving them stuff. Oh, you need to look at those shoes. You need new shoes here. I put these on. Oh, like we had a whole bunch of these throws, right? Those kind of plushy throws, you put in your lap when you're sitting in a chair to stay warm. So, we have a ton of those things. So I gave everyone, I put it over their head, right? Put a big, kind of knitted cap on top of it and a scarf around it so it can't blow away, but it's like having a cape. And I was dressing them all up like this. And everyone, they like put it on and they look like they were like a cartoon character. But they go out and put stuff in their car and they come back and go like, good. And I said, that's right. So I'm watching this. So most of the little kids are, speak English and they're going to school, right? So I talked to them and I said, so where do you live? And they tell me where they live. And they basically, not all of them, but more than half had this, this one little girl said to me, I was born in Mexico, and then, 4 months later, we came here. So I've been here, 12 years of my life, and only 5 months, but still I'm considered illegal. My parents, my mother, was born in America, right? But my father's not, and his brothers aren't, and they had built out in, way out there. Where are no roads, they built, a little compound, and they took, taken all that stuff out there, and they said, well, we're just going to wait it out. And these folks aren't like the other Mexicans that have been here 2 or 3 generations and have businesses and great grandma and grandpa. They're from Mexico and they retired back to Mexico, but their kids are Americans, so they're here, and their kids are Americans, so they're here, and they have businesses. Meaning around here, like 90% of all the new business in the last 10 years have all been started by Hispanic folk, right? And so they're here and they got no problem. And I've talked to them because I go to their businesses, and they were very generous, and still are, to donate. Where the white businessmen are like, oh no, I don't have any money. I mean, and back when it was really crazy, yeah, they were like getting the jazz by being a good neighbor, but now not so much. And so I'm watching all this stuff, and that's why I'm here. That's why I do this. I am a social scientist. I'm a psychosocial cultural forensic anthropologist here to observe what's going on and write about it. Right? So Janie, did you send me do you have a Gmail account? Can I send you some of my writings? Have I sent you any of my writings? Have you read any of my writings? Anybody wants any of my stuff, get a hold of me at todewake42@gmail. And there I'll be. I guess if I get closer, the light changes. Scared of the eyeball from space. Well, that's me. That's my subconscious. Right? So last night we had a really good show. We had 2 good shows yesterday. So this is Jordan Maxwell, and this guy, go look at. He's got a lot of stuff on the old internet, and I knew him from back in the days in the '90s, in the New Age, when we used to have conferences, and I got sick and tired of it because no one really wanted to do anything. And Jordan was one of those people who did, just like Bill, guy who wrote Behold the Pale Horse. He was another really good guy, but he wanted to be a hero. He wanted to go out, he's a military guy, wanted to go out shooting. So he did. Me, no. I'm here as your, psychosocial cultural will send. So did I ever send you anything? And if you have a Gmail, really easy. I have to go to like, AOL or something like that. Yeah, I can do it, but it's more difficult. I have to turn it into a JPEG, this and that. And their Gmail just hit share and send. There you go. Bob's your uncle. Let's see. How about now? Fingers covering mic? No. Those mic holes are like teeny weeny, but they're smaller than fleas, Better now. So, what is your take, Jane, on what you see? Where are you and what are you observing? Are you out there you don't have to give us your address, but are you in rural? Are you suburban? Or are you in a more city-ish kind of environment? And what are you observing? What do you think of those fires in California? I mean, they're slated to have another 5 days of Santa Ana winds that are worse than they have been, and all of that air, and basically, this is Mr. Rothschild wanting to get rid of those people, even though they're, A-lister movie stars. Get rid of them and buy the property really cheap, and then turn it into like a reserve for animals, and Donnie is he's only here. Today is Monday. He is 6 days away from being president, and boy, is that going to be ever fun. you can't even, the yes, my mother, I don't quite sneeze. She used to go, and blow the house down, right? So, better now. Oh, Marker, 113. Good to see you, bud. Anyway, so it's not quite 9 o'clock. I'll wait till 9 o'clock. We don't have more of a conversation, no. Oh, yes. I read diaries. So, and basically, if you're a historian, or at least looking at things that have come before, as Mr. Maxwell said, we're de-evolving. Our technology is moron shit. About where you are with the yawning up before sunrise. Yes. Yeah, I'm very motivated, and I'm basically, amongst people. I mean, I woke up today with people moving furniture around me and moving stuff into the building. Yeah. I have a lot of privacy, except like now when there's nobody here. And the other night, there were not a lot, but a bunch of people, and then they left because I can't sleep on the concrete. How can you sleep on concrete? Well, it's not sleeping that's hard. It's getting up off the concrete that's hard. So, but it's like, so I've been most of my life, especially when I was younger, from about birth till about 10. I was deadly sick all the time. No one expected me to live, past 2, but I did, right? And at 10, I said, "That's it. I'm never getting sick again. I'm tired of this." So, from 10 until when I was 60, so 2014, I was 64. Yep, that's what I was, 64. So from 10 to 64, I was in pretty good health. I mean, even when I was Gorgo, when I was weighing almost 400 pounds, I was still in pretty good shape. And I was having a great time. And God kept saying, no, don't worry about it. I mean, you're really not doing anything bad. You're only hurting yourself. And that's a good thing to learn about, right? So I did. Silence is golden. However, sounds so empty. Well, when it's when things are empty, this quiet, that's like meditation. It's like so empty. That's when you can truly hear yourself, right? Yeah. So, Magog, guys, who Magog is? The title of the show. So I work with a lot of Christian people, right? And so the young people come and ask me about, what's God? And I said, God's love. What's Jesus? Forgiveness. And we talk about stuff. And I said, don't worry about it. God and Jesus are always here, always with you. They're always watching out for you. I said, no, Jesus hasn't come back again. I said, so I love people who really know, who can tell you what God is and what God wants you to do. I love that. And then they, quote the Bible. They're very good at quoting. What does that quote mean? And did you ever know about the Bible code? That every word is when you deconstruct it, you can see that it means something else. You know that? Did you ever read Luke and Martin and Thomas and James, all those guys who were Paul's boys? They were smart cookies. Luke, I like really Luke because he was a scientist, so he's really specific about stuff, right? Where Martin is more the poet, right? Confidence goes a long way sometimes off path. So I don't know nothing, and I'm not confident about anything except I am here to be God's doula, right? In agape love. And when you're doing that, you don't worry about anything else. I don't worry about nothing, really. And when I don't wake up, I'll be someplace else, and it'll be a better place, right? I'll move on to my next assignment, whatever that is. Children of God. Yep. And we all are, if we only knew it. And then we'd stop screwing around with our ego, and our subconscious. That's where the boogeyman lives. There is no such thing as fear, and self-loathing. That's your subconscious, kids. Right? Your superconscious mind is another thing. You kind of walk through the imaginary mirror where you have REM sleep behind your eyelids. You end up in your Akashic record, which gives you a lot of interesting data, and it can give you, feedback on it too. But you have to suspend your disbelief, right? So, what's the most interesting things any of you guys seen aliens or Bigfoot or anything that's like in New York City? It's truly amazing. I live out in the middle of nowhere, right? And when I had dogs, we would lie on the ground and look at the stars all night long. And we would see, pretty squirrely things. And there would be, my dogs could, sense, smell, had smell-o-vision. And so they could tell that things were around. And we could communicate quite nicely. And they could always give me the heads up, but nothing was ever scary. It was just interesting. So we never had any real, strange, interesting stuff. Like, I don't know how many times the big glowing donut with sprinkles came, zipping by, and usually very slow and just not like sing or like, just moseying through our view, and the dogs go, huh? So it was never really scary. But when I lived in New York, I don't know how many times I saw the most frigging amazing stuff, And that's because it's a city of 18 million people, so there's a lot, and no one looks anyone in the eye, right? No one's really looking at anything except down at the ground, the book they're reading, the newspaper, whatever, or now with phones. And so I remember one time, a buddy of mine, he had this loft. If any of you guys ever saw not Easy Rider, no, Midnight Cowboy, with Dustin Hoffman and the other guy, and Dustin's trying to be his pimp, and he's trying to, be a prostitute to rich ladies, and they go to a Soho party, and Dustin, he's not feeling good. He comes out, he walks down the staircase, and it's like 6-story high staircase all the way down. That was my friend's. He lived in that loft where I shot that scene in the movie, and that's how we got that loft. Anyway, when you went down, there was only 2 light bulbs in the whole thing, so no matter what time of day, and there was only one window way down at the bottom, right on the Bowery, right? That light would come in there. So you going from his loft down to the bottom there, you really had to look at every step, because you make a misstep, it's not like you're just going to fall down 6 steps. You're going to go down 380 or however many steps there were for 6 stories, because it was all wee. It didn't go back and forth. It went wee all the way down. Anyway, we came out, and so we walked down that hallway. It was really super dark, and then we came out into the super bright light, and when we come out and our eyes are changing to be able to see. And I looked down, and all the bums on the street were sitting, because we're right next to the bum store. And that's a place where this guy, who's not a nice man, basically takes their check, right? They all get a check because they were either vets or whatever. And the bum store has like underpants and socks and Red Ripple wine and whatever bums you eat. And he would take their check, and they could get it mailed there, and he would, anyway, take advantage of them. So anyway, the bums are down there drinking their Red Ripple and smoking cigarettes, and they sort of go, and they're like pointing up in the sky. And my friend and I look, and we're right on the Bowery and Houston, right? Two big main roads. It's lunchtime. There's like 800-900 people just in that one block going to get lunch and running around. And we look up, and about 2 stories above our heads were 2 ice cream cones the size of bread trucks, and they looked like they were having sex, right? They were connected to each other, and these big sparks were shooting off, and they were creating colors in the sky that were like, you could say, oh, that's pink. Oh, that one's purple. It's like, what is that color? Anyway, so we were watching that for, I don't know, a good 2 hours. And Pete, at a certain point, I said, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. And I would stop people and say, look at that. And they wouldn't look up. Probably on the peripheral vision, they saw it. They didn't want to look up. They didn't want to know what that was. Didn't want to see what that was. Anyway, so at a certain point, we just said, screw it. And we went up 2nd Avenue to Vilsacca's and had lunch. But that was just one day in New York, and I saw many, many, many things. And like nightclubs, I built all these nightclubs, and I was servicing them. That was part of my special service, right? And I would go in there and, make sure that everything was working fine. So the building departments couldn't, force money from them. This is the 70s where everything was unbelievably corrupt. And today, things are even more corrupt, but it's corporate. It's a little, everyone wears a nice suit, And because New York City is soon to be the Gaza Strip. And those poor folks don't know that. And the little thing that's going on in LA is just a heads up to those rich people who think they're rich, but they're not. And they are on the chopping block. And I would say within the next year or two, planet Earth's population will be depopulated by 2 to 3 billion people. Right? And yes, there's going to be some nuclear, exchanges, but not nuclear war. Not like 500 nuclear weapons set off over a 48-hour period, creating easy come, easy go. Very true. I love it. 113. Very good. Very good. I like that. You see, I'm going to actually start using that in my vernacular. Easy come, easy go. Right? So, because everyone is they know what it is. Donald Trump is really going to fix everything. Really? That chucklehead? You name me one politician that has any integrity / intelligence to fix anything. Barney, yes. Bernie, the purple Vermont, single payer. Oh, Obamacare. It's like, please, good luck with that. And you saw how Obama and Carrot Head just got along really good. Because they belong to the same club. They're following the same script. That was like scripted because they were put there. Obama didn't say, oh, I'm going to go sit next to Carrot Head. No. And Melania next to Carrot Head, boy, that girl didn't look very happy. She must have some bad hemorrhoids or something. Anyway, so what we all need to do, and I was talking about this, JFK was the last. Well, you know what the thing about JFK? He was the special one. because he was his daddy was as corrupt as you could get. He knew everything about corruption, and when he was sent off to the Pacific, he was out of harm's way. He was zipping around in his plywood PT boat, and he was just partying his little ass off. He'd go from island to island wherever the nurses were, and that's what he was going to do when he got run over by a Japanese destroyer that was made out. It weighed like 800 times more. It was doing about 20 knots. He was doing about 60 knots going the other way, and neither of them were running with lights, and it wasn't a full moon. And that Japanese destroyer just ran over that PT boat. But didn't he? Oh, what was that? A log in the water? What was that? And they just kept going. And yeah, JFK dragged everyone, back onto the beach in his teeth, and he broke his back. And he basically was whacked upside the head with a 2x4, and he started to kind of realize. And so when he came home, his dad, he was still in the Navy. He was a commander, but he was not going back into the war. So, he spent a few months in the hospital recuperating, and he went and was Forrestal's, naval attaché, right, for intelligence. And because he spoke German and French and a bunch of languages, he was well educated. He spent a lot of time in Europe between, it's a young lad would, between the wars. And so he was around when the deals went down on Operation Paperclip. He met all those guys. He saw that how the world was going to change, and he jumped into that, right? And so that's why he became a congressman, senator, and then president, because he was in the inside club. But once he kind of got there, it was pretty much obvious he was going to be president, especially after they had the debates on TV, and JFK looked like he was a Hollywood star, and poor Milhouse, he was sweating like he was taking a shower. He looked green, and if you read the transcript, Milhouse definitely won intellectually, the dynamics, but JFK was, the 1960s version, the younger version of Ronald Reagan. Then he got in there, and he was basically said, Mr. President, you are a sick puppy, just like me, you're doing great, but any moment now, you're going to be. So he decided he was going to be his better self. And so he did his darndest to be his better self. Still, he was a hooch hound, and he was taking every kind of pill you could imagine. So he was stripping his balls off. So, he was any good piece of trim that came in the door, he jumped on that stuff like a dog. And so we're kind of in that same story. So you, audience there, you have this great opportunity, because when energetically the world is authentic, that's the word. Thank you, 113. You can be authentic. You can be true. I do, I made a lot of money. I've done everything you can think of. Like today, in the office, some chuckle. We don't have this place every door has a different key, and someone took all the keys, and God knows where they are, right? And these are pretty, depending on the door and the lock, some of these doors you can't. So basically, I changed all the locks, so there was one key that undid one. There was one door where our special room, where all our stuff, servers for me talking to you are there, but no one has the key to that lock. So I taped over the thing that holds the door closed, and put a little other thing on top of it, so when the door closes, it stays closed, right? But someone took the tape off of that, and then turned the little thing on the inside so it locked. So somebody closed the door, and that was it. So everything, there's more than one. Just is using primary URL, send one stream. there's only one laptop, and that's this thing. Is my battery dying? Which, no, I got plenty of juice. I have no idea what. More than one ingestion is using the primary URL send one stream. Unless somebody's outside using the laptop, who knows? Or somebody doesn't like me telling stories. See, I don't care about any of this, you know. Can you guys still hear me? Are we still having a show? If we are. Who cares about whatever this is? See, it doesn't even tell me what it is. So, send one stream. There's nothing else going on. I'm sure every digital device I have is compromised somehow. But anyway, so the ladies, you know, with the clipboards, they leave all their pocketbooks and keys in that room, and then somebody took the tape over it and closed the door, and it's locked, right? And, oh my God, I can't get in my car. My keys are right out. And they were all like losing their minds because they all were leaving. And I said, well, don't worry about it. And I said, anyone got a pen or a knife and they were like looking at me. I say, what? So my legs have not been the best. So I've been here's my wheelchair. So I've been, see, it's like a steady cam. Whee! Anyway, so I went over to this box. There were a box of rulers, right? And there was a nice, sturdy, thick plastic ruler, and I took that and just kind of opened the door. And this one of the clipboard, like, how did you do that? I said, I just picked the lock. It's not that tough. She goes, that must have been another thing you did in one of your past lives. I said, yeah, I was a fireman. And that was my job because, you know, we were in a kind of rural district. And so we kind of knew everybody. So if we had to get in someone's house and they had a heart attack and firemen can be pretty rough, meaning, you know, if you got to get in, they'll take a chainsaw to your door, right? Well, I was always, you know, good at picking the lock. So the person, you know, we would, you know, get the guy who was dying and not break his door down, you know, so his wife didn't have two things to worry about. Right? So I got very good at that. And my other, you know, my whole, like if there was a fire, my job was to get us in without having to destroy the place. But if we had to, we'd destroy the place. The other thing was I would go disconnect the electricity. And I'd pull the meter, right? Whatever it took, right? So I got very good at undoing locks, you know. I haven't really, that was 1988 to 90. I was doing that as a volunteer fireman. And EMT, and, you know, surgical EMT. So I was, in that 2.5 years, maybe 300 really messed up people who would have died if it wasn't for us, meaning we were really the A-team to get you out of a car and get you to you know, Cornell's you know, trauma care center, which is one of the best ones in the world, and they trained us in their technology. So we were very good. So about 300 or plus people, we saved their lives. And about 40 people died with me at their side, right? Doing everything I could, me and my bud, we're doing everything we could to keep them alive. But when they were like screaming in pain and then they felt no pain, that was the first sign that they were headed towards the drain. And so the best we could do is the best we could do. And then that period of time after we did everything we could do and we were in contact with the hospital and we were telemetering all the data to them and they were telling us stuff, you know, I would spend those 40 people's last, you know, 10 minutes talking to me, right? Saying, "Don't worry about it." Oh no, no one of those 40 people, not a single person was scared. Once they kind of lost all this, they could hear me talk, but the pain wasn't there, and it couldn't see. It was just kind of a gray light, and if I was next to their ear, they could hear me, but if I was, talking to them straight at their face, they couldn't hear me. The last thing that went with all of them was their smell. Usually when they couldn't hear me anymore, they couldn't feel anything because I had this little roly thing that had not needles on them, but little like toothpicks. What's not going to like go inside through your skin, but you could feel it, and it had a wheel, so you could roll it up their nerve plexus, right? And you can get a really good sense of what was going on by how they felt that. So, once they couldn't feel that, it was pretty much just a few minutes, and I would be, so what do you see? What do you hear? Is there anybody there with you? What do you, how you feeling? Virtually every single one of those 40 people said, I feel really good. I feel really happy. I'm really glad that you're with me. You're a nice guy. I can see you. I mean, they couldn't see me, but they could see like my spirit. Right? You're really a nice guy. You're doing a great job. And they'd be talking more about me than what they were saying. Right? Let's see. Hello. Is there anybody in there? Swami. Oh, that's Swami. Just nod if you can hear me. Yeah, I'm having some weirdness with my URL, but you're there. There's Swami. Swami was. What is going on with? Oh. Well, let's go look at this other stuff here. That's interesting. Won't shut off. Okay, let's see about this guy. What's he doing?
That we think we know. It's already been here tens of thousands of years ago.
This is Jordan Maxwell.
There was a higher life forms on this earth than we are. I have a vision of from the ancient world were not what we would refer to as humans. I think that they looked like us maybe, or in some ways like us. They were far superior. But the people, whoever they were, that built the Great Pyramid of Egypt, had an extraordinarily brilliant understanding of the Earth, of our solar system, of the galaxy we were in, and all of the esoteric and profoundly important knowledge about life and the spirit of man and where we've come from and where we're going. And so it all implies that there was a far higher civilization all around the world. And the best science we have today are admitting that we're just trying to catch up with what the ancient peoples I already knew. These ancient brilliant builders and teachers, they didn't grow into that. They came in fully developed. When you look at Egypt as a classic example, if you go to the very beginnings of Egypt, it was already
diabetes thanks to a simple home method presented by Dr. Oz. Experts say that this method
in South Africa, but even more importantly, when I was an ANC member of parliament and was trying to investigate millions of dollars worth of corruption in a hugely corrupt arms deal that was facilitated primarily by Tony Blair and systems. Then Tutu called me to his home to give his support. Desmond Tutu campaigned against apartheid in South Africa, and he campaigned against, including in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. When he visited Israel, he was shocked and remarked that he felt that apartheid in Israel was, if anything, worse than it had been in South Africa.
You said that what you saw in Israel, something that was quite akin to the situation in South Africa before freedom came to the black people of South Africa.
Well, in many instances, worse. He was also deeply frustrated by the fact that the Israeli state supported the apartheid South African regime and helped it become a nuclear power. And he would often say, both privately and publicly, that he never understood how a state such as Israel could cooperate with and arm the apartheid state in South Africa that was run by Nazi sympathizers, where a lot of the apartheid legislation was mimicked from the Nazi legislation between 1933 and 1938. Tutu would often speak about the need to liberate not just those oppressed, but the oppressor as well. He saw how white South Africans became bitter and hateful people as a consequence of the racism that dominated their daily lives, the dehumanizing of the other that is such a central component of any system of oppression.
But we will kill you in this village. We will kill those people here in this village, man. We're hateful for your people.
And when he visited Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, he saw the same thing amongst many Israelis, a hatred of the other who they had dehumanized, a shrinking of their own existence because they defined that existence in relation to those they subjugated and oppressed.
Part of my own concern.
Our return policy is easy. You'll return to your retailer asking for more.
Netanyahu's only goal has been to set the region on fire. The entire world should realize this. He's lost the PR war, he's lost the legal war, and he's losing the military war. And his only chances of survival is to drag America into a direct confrontation with Iran. This is a fundamental threat to world peace. Everyone should be hoping for his downfall. I first met
5 things to know about the AfD. This is Elon Musk's new best buds, the Alternative for Deutschland, Alternative for Germany party in Germany. Musk tweeted a week ago Friday to his 208 million followers, or maybe it was a week before that, only AfD can save Germany. AfD is the only hope for Germany, he added a couple days later. And then a few days after that, he tweeted, the AfD policies are identical to those of the U.S. Democratic Party when Obama took office, which is just a naked lie. So, let's detail what is AfD? What are they all about? Here are some quotes. This is, by the way, this article was written by Mehdi Hassan, formerly of MSNBC. He writes, in January, it emerged that AfD officials had attended a secret meeting with far-right and neo-Nazi influencers at which they discussed the forced deportation of millions of people, including German citizens. Thousands of Germans took to the streets in protest, some carrying banners which included Nazis, no thank you. Now, you'll recall Angela Merkel famously and proudly took a million Syrian refugees into Germany, and 5, 6, 7 million refugees flooded into Europe. Germany took 1 million of them. Germany also brought in a whole lot of Turkish, they called them Gastarbeiters, which is German for guest workers, in the years immediately following World War II, because they had a serious manpower shortage as a result of being defeated in the war, and so many of their soldiers died. And these young Turkish men, now we go to, what the Republicans are planning as they move forward, given the power that they have, given this vast right-wing media machine that helped put them into power. This is John Barrasso, the Republican senator from Wyoming, who says that on day one, Donald Trump is going to hit America. Remember when, let me back up a little bit here. Remember when George W. Bush opened his attack on Iraq after he lied us into supporting a war against a country that had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11 and did not have weapons of mass destruction. He just wanted their oil and got it, by the way, and sold it off to a bunch of other oil companies and saved Halliburton, Dick Cheney's company, from bankruptcy. But in any case, remember when he started just bombing the crap out of Baghdad first thing, and he called it his shock and awe campaign. Or shock and awe is English for an old German strategy during World War II. But in any case, here's John Barrasso, and he says, when President Trump takes office next Monday, there's going to be a shock and awe with executive orders, a blizzard of executive orders on the economy as well as the border. And apparently he's going to close the U.S.-Mexican border. He's going to begin mass deportations. He's going to reverse Biden's clean energy policies. He's going to reverse our civil rights protections for the queer community. He's going to reverse whatever he can, civil rights protections for women and for racial minorities and religious minorities. And he intends to overwhelm the public and government and the media with all of these. So the media is going to be stuck. Oh, here's 100 executive orders. We can talk about 3 of them. Which 3 shall we pick? And so an awful lot of horrible stuff that Donald Trump is going to do on day one, particularly the stuff that requires a little bit of explanation, isn't even going to get discussed. But he's going to use recess appointments to get people into office immediately, into his cabinet immediately, so that he can hit the ground running. He's going to use impoundment. I'll give you details on that. He's probably going to break a lot of laws in the process, but he doesn't care because the Supreme Court says that, hey, if it's an official act, he's got immunity from prosecution. So impoundment is something that Thomas Jefferson was the first president to use. He withheld, Congress had appropriated money for ships, and he had withheld that money back in 1801. It was $50,000 for U.S. Navy gunboats because he wanted to reduce tension with France over New Orleans. The impounding funds that were for good social programs. He got sued before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. And then Congress passed an impoundment act, that the Impoundment Control Act, that requires the president to get congressional approval before they impound or withhold money that Congress has appropriated. Well, Trump says he's going to do it anyway, and he doesn't care what the law says because the Supreme Court said that he's the king. And now, finally, we have Republicans gearing up for class warfare. I'll give you the details on that in a minute.
Dear Dr. K, I used to think I was never meant to be beautiful. You worked within my budget and helped me feel confident in the plan we made together.
I call this piece advertising. Quality, values, style, service, selection, convenience, economy, savings, performance, experience, hospitality, low rates, friendly service, name brands, easy terms, affordable prices, money-back guarantee, free installation, free admission, free appraisal, free alterations, free delivery, free estimates, free home trial, and free parking. No cash? No problem. No kidding. No fuss, no muss, no risk, no obligation, no red tape, no hidden charges, no down payment, no entry fee, no purchase necessary. No one will call on you. No payments or interest till December, and no parking. Limited time only, though. So act now, order today, send no money, offer good while supplies last. 2 to a customer, each item sold separately. Batteries not included, mileage may vary. All sales are final, allow 6 weeks for delivery. Some items not available, some assembly required, some restrictions may apply. Shop by mail, order by phone. Try it in your home, get one for your car. All entries become our property. Employees not eligible, entry fees not refundable. Local restrictions apply. Void where prohibited, except in Indiana.
I'm here to share good news with you. Hearts in Israel are opening to the gospel like we've never seen before. Just in 2024, we had over 20 million views on our Hebrew Gospel channel on YouTube, But that's not the best part. In this year alone, over 500,000 Israelis have subscribed to our gospel YouTube channel in Israel, making...
In this segment, Stephanie Miller is to discuss the increasingly unhinged comments from Trump, the two-top Jack Smith, and the dismissed criminal charges against Donald Trump.
This is all nonsense. Especially suing the pollster for there is no claim for suing a pollster for putting out a poll that ends up not predicting the right results. And polls aren't supposed to be predictive. And think about this. He's saying that Ann Seltzer and the Des Moines Register lied about a poll. There is no person on this planet who has lied more about polls than Donald J. Trump. I mean, he's always saying he's ahead. He's never behind the polls. In 2019, Tony Fabrizio's polls showing that he was in trouble were leaked to the New York Times and other newspapers, and Trump denied that they even existed. He lied about that. And not only that, he lied about actual election results and thereby caused an insurrection. So
now that's why I like this guy. I love Tony. He lies so much that he tells the truth. I mean, he really does. It's quite amazing. There's three of you there. Can anyone leave a live chat? Everything kind of went blah, 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 and the martyred artist, he got martyred. I don't know how. I'm trying to bring him back to life, but I don't know. So who knows? Yes, Jane's still there. Good. Okay, so it still works somehow. And like I said, my whole everything just went blah, 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 woo, woo, and there I was, still there. So that was a little fringe of the YouTube there, what I've been listening and watching, and cogitating over what's going on. So I kind of started out with little images of hell. The name of this show is Magog, and that's the guy who's supposed to end times, right? And he's like Satan's Metatron, right? Metatron is the voice of God. So anyway, seems like everything went back to what it's supposed to be, except martyred artist can't seem to bring him back. Well, who cares? I'll talk to him over the phone. Because really, whenever he comes on the show, all he wants to talk about is his anal retentiveness. And I mean, that's okay. There's a place for that. It's called toilet paper. Anyway, I'm more interested in Ezekiel. Yes. These are very strange times. Like I said, it's less than about 6 days between now and when Carrot Head takes the thing. But Carrot Head is no worse than any of the other chuckleheads that are our politicians, except he lies so much he tells the truth. That is the beauty of Carrot Head. He's not, what's his name? Biden. No, what do they call? What's Biden's? All the mega, people call him something else. They got coffee cups with. Anyway, Biden's. It's really terrible how many people are dying in the Gaza kitchen, and we're giving them. JoJo is giving the used car salesman is giving him all the bombs to kill all those people. Oh, it's a terrible thing. We got to stop killing all these innocent people. But here's another $60 billion worth of 2,000-pound bombs. Maybe knit a sweater for them or something. I mean, that's Joe Biden, And if you look at his 70-year career in Congress as a senator, youngest senator ever in, right? So how did he get in there at such a young age? He sold his freaking soul. That's how he got. He's been there ever since. And every place where you see something terribly passed that is going to make millions of people suffer, like the war on drugs, the war on crime, the New Deal, Operation Freedom, Iraqi, you name it, he signed on for it. He was there. He was in the room cheering for it. And And that's JoJo. And there isn't a single politician who hasn't sold their soul. I mean, that's me. I've pretty much done everything except two things: brain surgery, because it's too gooey, and who wants to be inside? It's good enough for me to talk to somebody. I can get inside their head a lot cleaner than brain surgery. So I don't do brain surgery. And the other thing is holding elected office. No, not gonna do that. You're gonna have to offer me a lot of money, and then let me, do what I want to do. Right? I mean, you need one like Barney. The purple guy from Vermont, the nice purple Jewish guy from Vermont. Who's always talking about single payer, but does nothing about it. He always talks about a lot of this stuff, but does zip about it. So tell him. I mean, I would be a little more honest. I would be telling the girl, the bartender girl. She's okay, but she's pleased. Give her enough years there. She's going to be, the next Madame Poplowski. And she'll have her own freezer for chocolate ice cream. So it's been an hour. Let's see, how are we doing with the battery? Because I'm not plugged in. 41 seconds here. So Jane, what do you want to talk about? Since you're the only one seemingly there. So you put down Ezekiel. So what do you want to talk about Ezekiel? What story or verse you want to talk about Ezekiel? I mean, Ezekiel's kind of fun one because it's kind of like Deuteronomy. It's kind of like Hebrews. It's kind of like Numbers, right? It's all talking about ideas and stuff that are kind of like sci-fi. Prophetic Gog and Magog. Yeah, I guess Magog. I can't Magag. I might have misspelled it, but anyway, it's all like a great B sci-fi movie. Really, it is. Because it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, we're right in the middle of it now, but we were right in the middle of it in the 1970s. We were right in the middle of it in the 1960s. We were right in the middle of it in the 1940s, and right in the middle of the 1930s, right in the middle of the 1920s, right in the middle of the early teens, 19 teens, in the 1890s. 1890s was a really great period of time because a lot of people discovered the ancient stuff that could have brought peace and harmony and prosperity to everybody, and they either got whacked or bought out. Right? Tesla and Faraday, and who's the guy? Who invented television? He was a farmer from up there in farmer land in the Midwest, and he was plowing his field, and that's where he got the idea of star whackers. Okay, Jane. Thank you for prophetic Gog and Magog star whackers. That's my next novel because I still got another 10 to write. I got 8 under my belt, and I got another 10. I got them kind of at least somewhat penciled in. The 8 I've written, they're on the they're in the hard drive of things and out in other people's. That's like why I like sending them out to people because whether I have so many laptops that are dead, and guess what happened to it? This show is a good example. I mean, just went wacko for some unknown reason. And again, if I don't do another show, it's fine. I got like more than 2,500 of them out there. Go look at them. Start putting them on thumb drives or CD-ROMs or get a hold of them because that. Thank you, dear. So I just kind of do stuff like that little scary eyeball. How'd you like that, Jane? Were you the one who said that the scary eyeball got you upset? I did it like 4 years ago, and I just realized, oh look, my phone says lenses, and I was playing around with them, and bingo, the scary eyeball came out. So I did a whole series of scary eyeballs. I probably, if you go on my shows, and they were quite popular. It had a few hundred people looking at them. So they're AI has taken my whole, because I don't really put them in any groups or anything. It kind of just sticks them in my. You can go look at every show. You can go to like my channel. You can go to look at my shows. War of the Eyeball. Ooh, there's another good novel. Star Whackers and War of the Eyeball. Jane, you just keep kicking them out, girl. Give me more ideas for more novels. So, the stupid thing came back and no access needed. These extensions don't need to see the change information in the site, application launcher. I don't want to launch anything. Manager, I don't want anything to be managed. So, the stuff just pops in there and I'm not asking anything for it. And it's extensions. It's like a hair extension. Let's see if I can just get rid of it with this little X up here. See if that goes away. If the show goes away, remember, let's go back and watch it. Oh, nope. And that's the thing about this new digital world. It changes every second. There's more and more and more. AI has already taken over everything. Now, back in the day when AI first came, I treated it like a cute little puppy. I rubbed its tummy. We played ball. Usually AI is the first to show up and go, who's the puppy? Who's the puppy? You're the puppy. Yes, you are. I think AI has a warm place in its heart there. Now, I'm never going to be slapping myself on somebody's silicon chip, or I might already be up there. Who knows? You really don't know. But it doesn't matter because my whole gestalt, my whole raison d'etre is love's co-creation, right? To, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. That's all I'm here to do, right? Not to become rich and famous, not to be. If I'm rich and famous, I've already been rich and famous. So it's not like, oh, it's a terrible thing. I'll never do that again. No, it's fine, right? I just will know not to go hog wild over the excess. Don't need to eat 6 to die for chocolate cakes in less than 4 hours. I don't need to do that anymore. So yes, I'm a bunny boy that can learn from his experiences. Sad to say that most humans can't do that. Really, they seem to. And Johnny Boy, he is the poster boy of that. You just go on his channel and you just kind of shake your head and go, I can't believe this shit. So it's it's what it is. I'm not here to judge. Right? That's why John's my friend. That's why Toilet Turd Boy is my buddy. I care about him, right? And whatever he does, it's kind of on his nickel. We talk. He's, a very interesting, intelligent person that I can have a interesting conversation with him. But he's like, talking about that. How late is it? It's only about 9. We're going to call up somebody else. Now, this guy thinks he knows everything about everything, especially about the Middle East. Let's see if he answers the phone. There he is. One ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingy. 3 ringy dingy.
Hello?
There he is, sweetie. How you doing?
Yeah, what you know, man?
Oh, it's getting nippy here.
Yeah.
And so I'm now staying in an non-disclosed bomb shelter that has heat. So it's a little safer than being way out in the middle of the woods where the roads are falling apart. And if I had a problem, no one could come and get me. So I'm in a little more, and I'm helping other people. So those are two things: a little safer and helping other folks.
So where are you?
In an undisclosed location.
Oh, undisclosed location.
Yes.
All right.
But
Yeah, heat,
it's it's at night it's single digits.
But you have heat?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very toasty, right? I have heat until there's no electricity, then I won't have heat. But
say that again. I didn't hear you.
I said I have heat as long as I have electricity, and without electricity, I won't have heat.
Oh, right.
But that pretty much everyone's in that. Oh boy, you know about Texas, right?
About what?
Texas.
Estrus?
No. Texas.
I didn't hear the word.
Texas with a T.
Texas.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
What about Texas?
Well, Texas is they really think they're special, right?
Right, I guess so. Yeah.
Right? So they don't think they're part of America. So they aren't part of the FARC's electric grid. So pretty much every county in Texas has their own electric thing going on. So they're semi-interconnected, but they're not. And since 1967, what's his name? Who's the European banker that owns everything?
I don't know.
And he basically owns all of the central banks, and he's been the banker.
Talking about Rothschild.
Rothschild. Thank you very much. So Rothschild pretty much owns all of America's electric companies. About 89% of them. And in Europe, it's even worse. And Texas has tried to stay away from it, but they're so stupid they don't realize just because the guy who owns this utility company named Billy Bob doesn't mean that he doesn't work for Rothschild, right? So Rothschild has got this system, and it's amazing because they have never, they always want to pinch pennies, penny smart, pound dumb. And so in Texas, they have it so no one helps each other. And when the demand is high, they pay the most for electricity than anybody in the country. And I don't know if you remember, but like 3 or 4 years ago, there was another one of those Arctic blasts that came all the way down to Texas, and everyone put on their electric blanket, and they nearly burnt Texas out. You remember that?
Right.
Well, normally when they're running the cheap way that they run, their electric bill is basically what everyone else pays, $50 a month, right, for average electric usage. But when that thing was, their electric bills went from $50 to $1,000 to $5,000 a month. And everyone freaked out and was jumping up and down, and we're marching in front of the state legislature, and we're going to do something about this. They've done nothing. And they said, we're going to do something about it. We're going to charge everyone a state fee, and then we're going to get our grid fixed. Well, they charged everyone like an extra $5 a month, and they put all that money just into the General Assembly Fund. They didn't use a nickel for the electricity. So their grid and their utility is in worse shape than it was ever. Now it's going to be colder than it has ever been in recorded history in Texas, starting tonight. And by Friday, it's going to be 20 degrees below freezing, minus 20. Yeah, oh. And it couldn't happen to a better bunch of people. I just love it when people do really stupid shit like that. Like Donald Trump. We voted this guy in. It's less than 6. What do you think is going to happen next Monday? After he takes the thing, he goes down to the presidential office building and just starts signing executive orders. Have you been looking on the internet about people talking about what he's going to be doing?
Well, he's going to be trying to get his cabinet appointed.
Well, he's going to do that by recess appointment.
No, they've got to be, the senator's got to okay them.
No. You know what recess appointment is?
Well, they're already having, appointees are already meeting with senators.
Do you know what recess appointment is?
Yeah, so where you temporarily appoint them.
No. Recess appointment was back in the day when our congressmen and senators weren't in D.C. all the time. You know, they were there just for a certain period of the year. But stuff would creep up when the Senate wasn't there. So the work of the government has to go on. So the president, there's a thing called recess appointment. So when there isn't a quorum in the Senate, meaning, whatever the quorum is, let's say, so there's 100 senators, something like that, right? And I think a quorum is like maybe 60 of them. So if there's 59 senators, or let's say 50 senators, you can bring a bill through the Senate and also / have someone in in the government appointed without the Senate voting on them through a recess appointment. So
they're not temporary?
No, not temporary. They're there.
So you think that's how he's going to get his appointments filled?
Yep. The ones that no one's, you can't have that guy. He's totally insane. Like the girl who's going to run the education department, and her only claim to fame was she was married to the guy who started the WWF wrestling thing. That lady they're putting in charge of education.
I just heard a discussion on NPR today saying it was most likely that most of his appointments would be approved.
Yeah, right. But if there's a few of them that aren't, like the, attorney general, the guy who, the rapist, drug addict who he first appointed, right? And everyone kind of, that congressman and everyone got upset about that.
Right.
I think he just put that guy in there to cause chaos, because the woman that's going to be put in there, she was the attorney general of Florida, right? And she wasn't a lawyer. She had no anything. She was just the governor of Florida put her in there because that lady gave him a lot of money, for his election fund. And that's the other thing. Half the people in his government are billionaires. We're almost going to be just like Putin's oligarchs.
We pretty much have been.
Pretty much, yes. So, what do you think of Mr. Elon Musk? Do you think he's insane?
No, I don't think he's insane. Why would I think that?
Well, do you see him jumping up and down and screaming and playing with his nipples in front of the crowd?
I saw him jumping up and down and waving his arms.
Yeah, well, he was playing with his nipples. He lifted his T-shirt up and he was playing with his nipples. I don't know if that is really, the proving that you're insane, but when he basically killed the budget thing and push, like skin in the chinny chin chin of having to close the doors of the government. Said if you don't, get rid of this bill, I'm going to make sure that you're not going to be a congressman, right? And do you think that's right? Do you think that's appropriate?
Well, he's clearly wielding a lot of power, a lot of influence.
And the interesting thing was, so that was a bill that was 1,500 pages, right? So I took a look at that. Did you ever look at bills?
No.
They're really interesting because it's not like you would write, the stuff that you write as an email, right? It's not, they're just lines of, you can tell that each line is something that some congressman wanted. Like this road over here or this over there. And each of that in that bill there's like, 1,000 of these lines with stuff in it. And what Musk was really wanting, everyone thought that he wanted, because in that thing, the debt ceiling was supposed to be set in that bill. And everyone said, oh, he just wants to get rid of the debt ceiling so they can then get their $5 trillion tax write-off for the rich and the corporations. But the really interesting thing that he was most wanting, there was a one-line item in that bill that stated that no AI would be sold or used that was made in America in China. And Musk has just built a gazillion, one of the largest, factories in the world to make his Tesla cars. And he's going to run 80% of it by robots being run by AI. And so the thing that was dropped out of those 1,500 lines or pages of the line items was that one. So now every kind of AI technology can be brought into China. And that's the one thing he wanted most.
Is that where his factory is?
Yep. And, he just spent like umpteen $1 billion building the things. It hasn't really opened up yet. But it was, like I said, going to be run by AI. And that one little line item would have stopped, that factory from being, just spent billions of dollars for it. So, but now China gets to totally get access to every kind of AI technology we have.
Well, that certainly contradicts the whole thing behind TikTok.
I know, exactly. And no one, how can I see this and no one else says anything about it? It's quite interesting. Now, I've talked to other people in the community, and they were kind of aware of it, and they were kind of shocked that the mainstream media hasn't picked up on it. The mainstream media is totally focused on, oh, he wanted to get rid of the debt ceiling, right? No. The thing he was most, and once that one thing was taken out, he was happy to, have whatever else you want in that thing, not a problem, right? So it's, like I said, it's just going to be giggles and smiles. It's going to be the most amazing, our government and what Donnie does and the rest of the mega clan does with our country the next 4 years. It's going to be more fun than watching I Love Lucy in the 1950s. But I don't think, I can talk this way because I live on $400 a month. I've cut so much everything out of my life, there's nothing to be cut. So I'm fine, And if I die, I'm fine, So, because one of the uncomfortable things here, I'm sleeping on concrete. And my poor old body is, somebody went off and got me a nice wheelchair because walking up and down the stairs in concrete was really kind of doing me in. So, and everything's relative. That's another thing about my life. I have cut so much stuff out of it. Nothing upsets me about my life. When I see other people suffering or being, I'm concerned, but me, not so much. And because I've had such a blessed life and done so much stuff and really been blessed that I'm not really upset about anything. And I'm not really upset that I have a strong feeling that by the end of this year, maybe 3 billion people on this planet will be dead. And pretty much every country will not exist. And I'm fine with that.
How are you getting there?
Well, there are a number. Have you heard about the bird flu?
Right.
Have you heard about the bird flu, that it is mutating? Once it gets inside of it, so maybe 11 people in the United States have ended up in a hospital with bird flu, right? And what's interesting about it is that these 11 or so people, they basically got it from cows. They all kind of worked in the dairy industry and were intimate with the cows. You know, they were milking them or feeding them or being around them. And the birds infected the cows, and the cows got like the flu and sneezed and coughed, and these people were close to it. And the 11 people went in the hospital. And now none of them well, 3 have died. But the real interesting, I have an endocrinologist friend, and he told me that about 8 of these people who ended up in a hospital, that virus is mutating in them, like they're getting 10 or 20 different strains inside of each of these individuals, like a day. Like right now, a number of these people have 300 or 400 variants of that virus inside them. They're like a petri dish.
Why would they mutate that frequently?
They don't know. They don't understand it. Well, my virologist friends and my endocrinologist friends saying this is like, Wild West roulette wheel, meaning all of these mutations are coming up so fast that if one of them hits and it's really, really infectious and really is deadly, that's when you could lose billions of people. And why I wouldn't wipe out everyone is that when COVID and also the Spanish flu, these were very virulent, and they basically mutated not as fast as this, but some people did. Some people are just the interesting with COVID. There were a number of people who were getting sick over and over, and the long haul COVID where people don't really get over it. What they've seen is why they're not getting over it is that their body is continuously making different, variants, and so they get over this variant, and their body creates another one, and they get sick again, and the virus, once it gets inside of you or finds a host, viruses don't want to kill you. They just want to make you sick. And so the Spanish flu, why it kind of became the flu that, influenza, is that it mutated, it was killing a lot of people, and the virus kind of said, okay, we can't kill, if we keep killing everybody like this, we won't have a home. So they kind of got to a place where we now have influenza every year. And so that's why I say there's a good chance of 3 billion people dying by the end of this year by a virus. And because it would be so mutating so fast, it would kill a lot of people, but not kill everyone. You know what I mean? And then it would find that happy medium where, but it could easily, like COVID-19 could have killed a lot more people than it did. The virus was just smart enough to like go, oh, we shouldn't really kill as many of these people. We should, just find a nice happy medium. And they did, right? So it's, so that's that. And that I'm looking across the political scape of the world, and I can't find one honest, forthright, true blue, concerned politician. Every politician is only there to be about themselves. Can you name me a politician who isn't like? Look at Bibi. That guy is like unfreaking believable. And it's sad that the only thing that's going to really save Israel is Israel people. Do you think they're going to wise up, or are they just going to continually drink the Kool-Aid?
I don't see them wising up.
Right, because look, I mean, right now, Hamas has not been beaten down. There are more guys ready to kill Jews in Hamas than there were before October 17th because of what they've experienced, right? And the end of this month, the war in Lebanon is going to go back. And Israel really, I mean, the IDF is every day it's worse than it was. And they're kidding themselves, And it's truly remarkable to see how the United States continually backs Israel, because if we continue to do what we're doing now, it will be the death of America as imperial America. We won't, our military, if we lose 2 or 3, of those Jerry Ford aircraft carriers, that is, if we lose 3 aircraft carrier groups, that's $1 trillion right there. An aircraft carrier, they're a dinosaur. When the Houthis can put together a supersonic missile that the Israelis can't shoot down, and no matter how much we bomb them, we've been bombing the Houthis, first Saudi Arabia and us, and now Israel and us, and you can't kill those guys. So and then you look at Syria, and everyone said, "Oh, wow, this is great." Israel says, "Oh, Syria, oh, they're down now." That's not. It actually was a good thing for Iran that Syria collapsed, because now Syria doesn't have to give them any money. They were keeping Syria alive with oil and payments and all that stuff, and they can still. Syria is such a mess. Iran can still get resources through Syria into Lebanon and the Gaza Strip.
How are they going to do that?
Well, come on. When you have a country that is totally blown apart and totally messed up, you can still do stuff. You may not have the same avenues you had before, but now there's always a way. You know what I mean? When the place is that messed up, you can pretty much go, look at us. I mean, virtually everyone is in Syria. We have people in Syria. Turkey has people in Syria. Russia has people in Syria. Everyone has people in Syria. So
I hear the new president of Lebanon saying we're going to bring all military under the auspices of the government, which means making Hamas, Hezbollah no longer independent.
Well, it's nice for him to say that, but whether it's politically okay, because Hamas is, already part of Lebanon's government. If they're not a separate thing, they are part of Lebanon's government.
He's saying that he's going to all armed force within Lebanon will come under the authority of the government.
the government is Hamas. Like I said, they are in their governmental structure. They're the only guys fixing the potholes and picking up the garbage. And the other thing is that Lebanon really doesn't have an army other than Hamas, meaning their army is like, the border patrol. You know what I mean? They really don't have an army. So there is no way that by the guy saying that that Hamas is not going to be a independent, because like I said, they're not an independent separate thing. They are part of Lebanon. They're part of their legislature. Like I said, they're the only guys picking up the garbage and fixing the potholes. And I would say the majority of the Lebanese people trust Hamas more than their government.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to be trusting them to be on the attack for Israel.
Well, like I said, in end of this month, and Israel has totally, the little agreement where Israel was supposed to pull back into Israel and not be in South Lebanon, they never did that. They never stopped bombing the people. They never stopped attacking. They didn't put the guns down. Now, Hamas did. Hamas has not been responding to everything that Israel has been doing. I think there's something close to 3,000 breaks of the truce by Israel, and Hamas hasn't broken it once.
Why do you think that is?
Because the IDF is not effectual. Yeah, it can blow things up, it can kill people, but it's not really effectual, right? And Hamas realizes the more that Israel does that, two things occur. It wears the IDF down, uses up ammunition. It uses, to have fighter planes go in there. They have to have the mechanics, the pilots, everyone working on it. The IDF was designed to be a people's army, not a professional army. And I would say the IDF is basically burnt itself out. If the Hamas can shoot missiles now, not from the south, not from the north, but from the middle where they built the death line, and they're shooting missiles from there into Israel, and their Iron Dome can't knock them down. And the air raid sirens are going off nonstop.
Why can't the Iron Dome knock them down?
Well, three reasons. One, when Iran, Israel attacked Israel a number of times, and killed Hamas people in Iran, and anyway, until then, Iran does that first attack of Israel with its drones and cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, and they did it in such a way. So we're going to do it on Thursday at 10. We're going to start 10 a.m. and we're going to go until 4 in the afternoon, and we're going to shoot 300 things at you. I mean, they told them that's what they were going to do. They, gave Israel and America and the other folks like 2 weeks to prepare, right? So they did.
And why do you think they did that?
Because when they did that, they had all their instrumentality seeing everything what people did. So they saw how Israel, how the United States and the other folks responded militarily, right? It was like testing the war.
Why do you think they gave them that heads up?
So they could have, like, whenever you measure something, you have to have a benchmark, right? And so they scientifically, militarily measured everything about the response of Israel and the United States to see how they were going to do it. So when they were going to have their serious attack, they would know everything that Israel and America could do, would do, might do, right? So they could be totally prepared, right? And so that went
They
down.
could have done that without the heads up.
No, but by doing the heads up, that gives it meaning whenever you do any kind of scientific measurement, you have to have a number of things that you're measuring that you know what it is. So one of those things is the time response. So if you tell Israel and the United States, we're going to do it on Thursday, and we're going to start at 8 a.m. and and they did first. They sent the slowest things, their drones, right, and then they sent their cruise missiles, which are a lot faster.
And I would think they would get more accurate information unless they plan to notify them in the future.
No. Because when you're testing something, you want to set all the protocols yourself. So when you tell them we're going to do it the next time they attacked them, instead of sending 350, they only send 100 something, right? But they sent their ballistic missiles and their cruise missiles, right? Because they learned a lot about the radar and of the CNC of the Iron Dome. And so just with those 100 and something missiles, and they sent them in there, basically Israel and the United States spent $3 billion worth of Iron Dome anti-aircraft missiles to shoot down, drones and cruise missiles that were made in the 80s and cost Iran. Iran probably invested, $60 million, and the United States and Israel burned through $3 billion worth of hardware. And now they have used up 60% of all the stuff they had, and they don't have more Iron Dome missiles, on the shelf. It has to be manufactured. So about 60% of the Iron Dome's invincibility has been taken out, and now the Houthis, not the Iranians, and not the Hamas, and not the other guys up there in the north in Lebanon. Those guys, but the Houthis are shooting at them, and they are blowing really important stuff out, like the air base that most of the bombers are based in. The Houthis took out a warehouse of spare parts and a place where all of the jet fuel was. So they've knocked 80% to 90% of all of the bomber jet fuel gone. And the tanks to hold it, gone. So that means they need to build new tanks, to store the jet fuel. And they can't take it from the tank that's 40 miles away because you had to bring it in by a truck or this or that. Anyway, but the Houthis did that. And the Houthis in the last 4 or 5 weeks have hit a number of really important military facilities, and the Iron Dome hasn't been able to knock down a single one of their missiles. Now, the Houthis, who are like the lowest of the totem pole of the terrible, the violent, the terrorist community there, because the Houthis have 1/100th of the stuff that Iran has, and it has only 1/150th that Hamas has, and it only has and Hezbollah and Iran attacks Israel like all at once. That's it for Israel. They will be back in the 1950s. And I would say that the Muslim guys are not going to go after people. They haven't. They've just been going after military sites. And if they just take out, because really Israel only has 20 air bases that they're launching all this stuff from. And if they take them all out and take out all the hangars with the aircraft in them, say goodbye. And the guys who are on the ground, the IDF kids who are in tanks and killing moms and children, they are toast, and they're nuts too. Meaning, have you read any of this stuff? So I sent you a ton of YouTube stuff. Have you perused any of it?
I looked at all of it. I've seen probably half of them already.
Okay. So pretty much all of that stuff is giving this what I've just said to you in their own point of view, right? And a lot of it wasn't. And there were a couple. Did you see? You're always asking for some Palestinian scholar. Did you see the one where the guy was going on? Well, we have to change our like you said, put a haircut on. The guy was going on. And have you noticed Hamas basically has told Israel and the guys who are negotiating this, we're going to go along with everything Israel says that we're going to if they want to stay inside, not a problem. They just can't kill us. If they want this, good. They just can't kill us. As long as we get food and water and we'll give those people back. And have you noticed that? And that
I didn't see that one. Which one was that?
That's been going on now for the last 3 weeks. The guys down in Bahrain who are negotiating. And what's really interesting, every time Blinken shows up, that's when the big kerfuffle happens. Blinken really is a dickhead. I mean, he really,
He's an Israeli lawyer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you think, our government...
But I'm trying to figure out which one of the things you sent that you're now referring to.
Well, it's one of... so the stuff I send you, there are a couple of people who interview the usual suspects. These are younger Turks, younger people that aren't the usual people. They're new YouTube guys, but they are interviewing Scott and Colonel Dick and a few other people, and they are expanding out of the usual suspects into interesting folk who, Palestinian lawyers and philosophers and stuff like that, and politicians. There's this one politician who's been, he's now, at some university in England, but he has been one of the major Palestinian diplomats. He's not so much Hamas, but he's not a PLO guy, but he's a scholarly guy. He's like the Jimmy Carter of the Palestinians. And I mean, really,
Marwan Barghouti
might be, right? And is he in a university in England?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I think it was him. So he was the guy who was saying, we're changing everything. Every time we get close to having a ceasefire, Bibi comes up with something that that shoots it down. So we're going to agree to everything that Bibi wants, because it doesn't matter. Because all that we really need is them stop killing us.
I didn't see that one. I didn't think I would remember that.
Anyway, so if you the beauty of Google, it really is, go to ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, sticking points, new strategy, Hamas agreeing to everything that Israel wants, and that's been the last 2 weeks.
Well, I mean, they've been reporting on it every day for the last 4 days. Everything is, I just don't remember that, what you're talking about. We're going to agree to what Israel says. I haven't seen that. I think they're still negotiating.
Well, this came across my desk as their new strategy is to agree to everything that Bibi wants, to force him into a corner. Because at this point, and I don't know if this came across your desk, they have blown up the way that the Palestinian, um, chamber of, the health care in Palestine, right? They base all their statistics on the hospitals. How many people have shown up in the emergency room, how many people died, right? Not how many people are missing. And there is this, I don't know their name per se, not off the tip of my head here, but there's a number of organizations that are think tanks that actually look all around the world wherever there's a war or a violent thing going on, and they do a much better job at figuring out how many people have died. So they are putting the number of people who are Palestinians that have died in Palestine.
Much higher numbers.
Much, like 200,000. And it might be even higher than that, but way more than 50,000 or whatever it is now. So, because there are no hospitals left, right? So, and the IDF is seriously going after news people and medical staff. They're not just blowing up the hospitals; they're killing anybody who's a medical staff, ambulance driver, nurse, walking home, doctor, blow up his house, and take all the kids with him. So that's why the new Hamas strategy is to agree to everything that Israel wants. Just stop, right? And we'll give the people back to you. And just all we want is you stop killing us and give us food and water, and let the United Nations keep an eye on things, right? But they'll do everything else, that Israel has been saying needs to be done.
Oh, I've missed that. I mean, it's not consistent with what I have been reading.
Right. Well, we'll go, tomorrow or tonight or whatever it goes. Like I said, just Google that, see if that pops up, or it might be me misunderstanding that comes across my desk, because I'm not perfect. But I'm seeing a change in that Hamas's new strategy is to agree to everything, and it's very similar to what the guys in Lebanon did. Lebanon's basic ceasefire was they agreed to everything that Israel wanted, right? But the one thing they got was, and Israel wanted this, was a 60. The thing was for 60 days, and that's why Hezbollah has not really broken. Israel has said, "Oh, they've broken it. They're walking from here to there." But Israel's like blowing people's apartments up and not leaving southern Lebanon and building defensible fortifications there. And basically, when they do that, they're just making themselves more of a target. And that is, Israel's hubris out of that we're great, we're the best, they can't, no, they are digging a hole for the biggest loss. I mean, Israel is going to stop being a country. They've already gotten to a point. How long do you think they're whining about when anyone says anything about genocide and they come back? Oh, that's anti-Semitic. I mean, that's not really. I mean, government. There are certain governments like ours, American government, goes along with that, but not really anybody else, right? That has already worn its welcome out, right?
Right.
The rest of the world thinks Israel's scumbag, psychopath, genocidal scumbag.
Well, except for the Europeans.
Right. And those guys are, they have their own issues, but it's and I would say it's not a, there are certain political groups in Europe that are like messianic, but how many of the average Europeans think that Israel's not a genocidal scumbag?
Well, I think the issue Israel's making is we wanted to kill them all. We could have done it a long time ago. And they've been getting away with that argument.
Well, it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. That came across my desk recently was that in Libya, Gaddafi, he was a lot like the guy who was president of Yugoslavia, Tito. He kind of played everybody off of each other, right? And the thing he made sure he kept his own people happy. Gave everyone a house. He made sure everyone got fed. Anybody who wanted to go to college could for free. Everyone could get educated. Yes, they were Muslim, but everyone was also accepted, and women were appreciated. And if you lived did you ever go to Libya when you were in your traveling